Well, hello, and I want to welcome you back to another teaching. I'm talking about what Jesus says about relationships. And this is part two of a three-part series of what Jesus says about relationships. And I just want to ask you this. Are you frustrated with a relationship or several relationships that are just stressing you out? The truth is, too many people, way too many, are bound up with all kinds of angst and anxiety and frustration regarding relational conflict. And quite often, people end up paying for this with a lot of wasted mental and emotional energy. It results in isolation, loneliness, depression, even ulcers, paranoia. In fact, I'd have to say that based upon what I've seen, too many people are in a prison of their own creation and they can't even go certain places or do certain things because they have unresolved relational conflict. Now, in this series, I've already talked about in part one. If you missed part one after this, go back and watch it. But there are three types of relational sin that Jesus has talked about. He talks about this in Matthew chapter 5. He talks about other types, other places in the Bible, but I'm really looking right now at Matthew 5. And in Matthew 5, we see there are three types. One is unresolved destructive anger, and the second is hateful name calling, and the third is unresolved relational sin. So, what's at the root? What's at the root of our relational conflict? That's a question we've got to ask. I mean, what's at the root of your relational conflict? Not what are the symptoms, not basically what you're dealing with right now, but what's at the root. Now, the root is something that's under the ground. You can't see it and it's not obvious, but if you dig, you'll discover it. I'm asking you to dig today. Go to the root, and then you'll begin to deal with these problems in your own life. So I've put together these 10 relationship skills that are found in the Bible. And I'm asking you to dig. I'm asking you to search your heart. In fact, if you will do this right now, just say, God, show me where it is in my life that I have this root of relationship issues that I need to deal with the root. Quite often we look at the other person, and sure, they may have done something horrible, but look at yourself. It's not about them, it's about you. Jesus wants you to have robust relationships. You may not be able to restore something that's been broken or shattered from the past, but there is still today and there's the future. And sometimes relationships do get restored and they're better than ever before. But if you don't have robust relationships, ultimately there's a price to pay for it. But there's a blessing if you do. So I'm going to talk about these 10 relationship skills, but really, every single one of these skills, they involve a specific root, a specific root. And that's what I want you to go after. So relationship skill number one, if you'll just jot these down, I'm not going to put them up here on the screen for you. I just want you to jot them down. Relationship skill number one is this: refuse to act out. Refuse to act out due to unresolved pain. I'll say it again. Relationship skill number one is refuse to act out due to unresolved pain. So the root would be unresolved pain. If you have pain in your past, I mean, it could be from your childhood, it can be from a previous marriage, maybe a former employment situation. If that pain has gone unresolved, it's going to cause you and influence you to act out. And you're going to act out in painful ways toward other people. And many times they don't deserve it. Often there's seemingly nothing you can even do to mend the situation that happened in the past, but it's still unresolved in your heart. Maybe even the culprits of what caused this pain in your life that you've never been able to resolve, maybe that person has moved away. Maybe that person has even passed on and they've died. And possibly maybe it's a situation that's extremely toxic and it's simply not wise to try to contact or try to mend it with them personally. What are you going to do? Because if you have unresolved pain, it's causing you to lash out or to act out, and that has to stop. So you have a single choice that you have to make in relationships, and it is a choice. It's a cognitive decision. You can't put emotion behind it. You have to move it from emotions to your mind. You have to choose in your mind that you're going to choose how you're going to react. And you're going to choose to react to people not based upon what has happened to you in the past or even what's happening to you right now. You're not going to think, this has happened to me but in the past, and I'm going to react this way. And ask God to show that to you. And ultimately, really, it comes down to a choice of how you're going to think, how you're going to process things. And ask God. One of the things you should do is ask God every day, God, heal me of my former relationship pain. Heal me from that and help me to not act out toward other people when that pain is touched or is brushed up against, because you may be dealing with someone in your life that has no idea of that past pain. They have nothing to do with that past pain, but they do something similar. Maybe they act similar. They even may even look similar to someone who caused them past pain, and look out. It's going to be a mess. I never really understood this until several years ago. I saw this manifest because honestly, I've had a good relationship in my life with family and friends, and I don't have a lot of deep relational pain from the past, but interestingly enough, several years ago, I was dealing with a situation in our school where our children were going to school, and there was this principal that just, I could tell they didn't like me. They just didn't like me, and I didn't know what was wrong. I tried to do everything possible. I volunteered for as many things in the school as I could and served and did everything I could, but it just didn't matter. They didn't like me. And someone clued me in on what was going on, because this person said, it was actually a person who worked in the office that said, yes, the principal mentioned this out loud, that he kind of looks like, and his personality is kind of like my ex-husband, and so I don't like him. And that solved it all in my head. So I realized it wasn't me. It wasn't me. It was unresolved pain from the past, but that prevented a relationship from happening there. So what I did is I thought, well, I'm just going to do the opposite. I'm just going to be as nice and as possible as I can. I never really had a great relationship with that principal, but it helped me to understand those things happening. And if they're happening to you, you simply need to change the way you're thinking and know that you can move forward. All right. You don't need to act out anymore based upon former relationship pain. All right. Here's relationship skill number 2. Choose your attitude. Choose your attitude. Your attitude during relational conflict, it's going to actually determine how you're going to prosper in your life. Really, your attitude. I guess the best example of this, or a great example of this, is a man by the name of Viktor Frankl, and his last name is spelled Frankl. Viktor Frankl, and you should look him up. You should read a book that he wrote called Man's Search for Meaning. It's one of the richest books that I've read. I read it about a year ago, and oh my goodness, it was riveting. But he was a Jewish professor during World War II, and he was imprisoned in Nazi death camps during that time. And as he was in these death camps, he experienced things that were just so repugnant to our sense of decency that I won't even repeat them. You have to read about them in the book. But during that time, his parents, his brother, his wife, they were all sent to the gas chambers and then to the human incinerators. Again, the book is called Man's Search for Meaning, the story of Viktor Frankl. But in his book, he talks about one day when he was naked and alone in a small room, and he became aware of what he calls in the book the last of human freedoms. And he realized that he had what was called the last of human freedoms. He called that himself. And he realized there's no Nazi that could take that freedom from him. And it was the decision to choose his attitude, even in the midst of a living hell. In fact, quote from the book, he says, everything can be taken from a man but one thing. The last of human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in a given set of circumstances, to choose one's own way. Wow. So no matter what you're going through, your attitude will determine how you're going to prosper in life. And he emotionally made it through that prison camp, that execution camp, because of his attitude. Philippians chapter 4, verse 8. Jot that scripture down. This is another one that really you could memorize. The Apostle Paul says, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, whatever is excellent, whatever is praiseworthy, think about such things. That affects your attitude. That's Philippians 4, 8. It's just you make up your mind how you're going to face the day. And honestly, there are only two kinds of attitudes: good attitudes and bad attitudes. I'd have to say that your attitude determines the quality of your relationships with your spouse, with your family, your employer, your friends, and even with God himself. And if you want quality relationships, you have to develop a positive attitude during relational conflict. Your attitude is this inward feeling, and it's expressed by outward behavior. So the truth is, people can even see it around you. People can see it around you without you even saying a word. I mean, the roots of your attitude, they're hidden, but the fruit is always visible. I mean, your attitude, therefore, is either your best friend or your worst enemy. You're carrying around a bad attitude, people will see it. And it will, and if you have a bad attitude, it's going to repel people from you. If you have a good attitude, people are going to be drawn toward you. So here's a question for you. Does your face look like a reprint of the Book of Lamentations? Is there always someone raining on your parade? I mean, if you were to inherit Ford Motor Company, are you afraid that the next president is going to outlaw trucks? Is the bird that's singing outside your window a buzzard? Well, if so, then you have a problem with your attitude, and the quality of your relationships is suffering, and you will continue to suffer unless you change your attitude. So put a smile on your face. All right, let's look at relationship skill number 3. Here it is. Jot this down. Remember that the past is the past. That's it. The past is, they call the past for a reason, because it's the past. The past is not the present. The best thing that you can do to guarantee your success in life is to put the past behind you. Just forget the past. The Apostle Paul says it this way in Philippians 3:13. He says, one thing I do, Philippians 3:13, jot it down. One thing I do, forgetting what is behind and straining toward what is ahead. You know, I just recommend that you just say this out loud with me. You know, I'm going to forget my past hurts. Just say it. Say it with me. I'm going to forget my past hurts. Most of you are in a situation right now where nobody's around you. You can say it out loud. Come on, say it. I'm going to forget my past hurts. Another thing you need to say is, I'm going to strain toward a positive future. Come on, say it with me. I'm going to strain toward a positive future. You might say, yeah, Pastor, but you don't know what they did to me. You don't understand how she treated me. Well, in this case, if that's the case, then think about Jesus. I mean, Jesus really went through it. Society called his birth illegitimate. He was born into a hated minority, which was the Jews, and they had endured horrific political oppression. Then there were the Jews themselves. They called Jesus a heretic. They called him a drunk. They called him a demonized deceiver. The government then even went on to call Jesus an insurgent who was too dangerous to go on living. One of his closest friends sold him out to his adversaries for 30 silver coins. He was tried in a kangaroo court, and at the same time, he was the creator of everything, yet he was criminalized. You see, Jesus was 100% human, and he felt all of our emotions. And he can truly say, I sat where you're sitting. I felt what you're feeling. I had to face adversity, rejection, betrayal, and it was hard. And his attitude toward his own suffering should be our attitude as well. And that's found in John 16:33. Jot that down, John 16:33. He says this, in this world, you will have trouble. That's just the way it's going to be. You will have trouble. But take heart. I have overcome the world. You need to just, come on, say something out loud with me again. Say, in this world, I will have trouble. Say it. In this world, I will have trouble. And now I want you to say, but I will take heart anyway. Say it out loud. But I will take heart anyway. And then one more thing to say out loud here with me. For Jesus in me has overcome the world. Say it. For Jesus in me has overcome the world. See, you can't change the day when your spouse said to you, I want a divorce. You can't change the foolish, destiny altering decisions of your children. So don't fight those things. When you fight the inevitable situations in life, you're going to become bitter and resentful. You're going to get ulcers. You're going to become twisted and negative and hateful. And some people, they actually die because of their inability to move past the inevitable situations of life. So don't keel over because somebody was mean to you or they did something stupid. God is greater than the criticism you're facing. He's greater than the giants you're facing, and He's greater than the mountain that you're climbing, and He is greater than the heavy weight of stress that you're carrying. All right, three things that I've talked to you about today. Refuse to act out due to unresolved pain. Choose your attitude and remember that the past is in the past. Now, I'll tell you what, I'm going to hit one more before I wrap it up today. Here it is. Relationship skill number 4, use words wisely. Use words wisely. Proverbs 18:21. It talks about how your words are powerful. It says the tongue has the power of life and death. Proverbs 18:21. You can kill or you can bring life with your words. What you say has a strange and a powerful way of becoming reality. And I believe that when a person says, I wish I were dead, that he or she invites a spirit of death to invade their home and into their life. When an unhappy wife says, my marriage is a failure, well, what she's doing is she's pronouncing doom over that relationship. I believe that when a pregnant woman says, I hate this baby, I don't want this baby, she is pronouncing a spirit of rejection upon a defenseless child, which in many times actually ends in the termination of that pregnancy. And of course, our words are a result of what's inside of us. See, Jesus said in Luke chapter 6, verse 45, out of the abundance of the heart, a mouth speaks. Out of the abundance of the heart, his mouth speaks. Luke 6:45. So deal with your heart. The place of attitude, that's where it comes from. Your attitude comes from your heart. And say, I can't fix my attitude. Yeah, you need to go to your heart because it's an even deeper root. Because you'll be able to control your words if you deal with your heart. And in doing so, you're going to be able to take the advice that Jesus gives to us, that actually James gives to us, and James was the brother of Jesus, so I think he would have a little bit of insight. But in James chapter 1, verses 19 and 20, he says, everyone should be quick to listen, but slow to speak and slow to become angry, for man's anger does not bring about the righteous life that God desires. All right. So today, I just encourage you to personalize the teaching from today. I'm going to hit the other 6 points in part 3, but today do this. Personalize this teaching through positive faith declarations. I'm going to give you 4 positive faith declarations. Here they are. I refuse to act out due to unresolved pain. I'll say it again. I refuse to act out due to unresolved pain. Second, I will choose my attitude. Come on, even say it out loud. I will choose my attitude. Next, I will remember that the past is the past. Say it. I will remember that the past is the past. And fourth, I will use my words wisely. Say it with me. I will use my words wisely. Well, I hope you've enjoyed talking with me today because I had you repeat a lot of things, but I think that's good for us. It's helpful. Well, God bless you. I look forward to seeing you in part 3, where we're going to cover the 6 other points on relationships, on how to influence and change our relationships dealing with our own selves. God bless you. Look forward to seeing you next time.